Hello, Child here. He calls me his child. Dusty Rose! Gonna have to find a bunch of different ways to say that, I guess. Black Rednecks and White Liberals by Thomas Sowell. I think the synopsis on the back will do this better justice, so I'm just going to read this to you. This explosive new book challenges many of the long prevailing assumptions about blacks, about Jews, about Germans, about slavery, and about education. Plainly written, powerfully reasoned, and backed with a startling array of documented facts. Yeah, pages 293 through 355 are just citations, so that's a lot of research. Black Rednecks and White Liberals takes on not only the trendy intellectuals of our times, but also such historic interpreters of American life as Alexis de Tocqueville and Frederick Law Olmsted. In a series of long essays, this book presents an in-depth look at key beliefs behind many mistaken and dangerous actions, policies, and trends. It presents eye-opening insights into the historical development of the ghetto culture that is today wrongly seen as a unique black identity, a culture cheered on toward self-destruction by white liberals who consider themselves friends of blacks. An essay titled The Real History of Slavery presents a jolting re-examination of that tragic institution and the narrow and distorted way it is too often seen today. The reasons for the venomous hatred of Jews and other groups like them in countries around the world are explored in an essay that asks, are Jews generic? Misconceptions of German history in general and of the Nazi era in particular are also re-examined. So too are the inspiring achievements and painful tragedies of black education in the United States. Black Rednecks and White Liberals is the capstone of decades of outstanding research and writing on racial and cultural issues by Thomas Sowell. I found this book after digging through what else Thomas Sowell has to say after basic economics. By now you may or may not be aware of the fact that Thomas Sowell is my hero because of basic economics. And I have spoken about how John Taylor Gatto's books have kind of flipped the tables on my understanding of the world. This was another one of those books that kind of flipped the tables for me, and I was really taken aback by a lot of the things I read in here, and I really had to rethink a lot of things. So several of these essays I'm not even sure that I can fairly comment on because I'm an outsider. One thing I found sad and disheartening, actually, was the chapter about the history of slavery. It gave a world's eye view of slavery as an institution. It said everybody participated in it, and everybody was a victim of it. It said that Christians and Jews and Muslims trafficked and were trafficked, every skin color, every geographical region, and the common denominator was who was most vulnerable. In fact, he says a fascinating thing. He actually thinks that the way we understand racism today actually arose out of a peculiar confluence of events in the United States when who was vulnerable was rapidly shrinking down to a few pockets on the earth, and that butting up against the United States being founded on all people being equal, therefore we have to justify why some people are not actually human. It's an interesting concept. But I was also really interested because I am Jewish by heritage. And as inflammatory as the title, Are the Jews Generic, sounds, he makes a fascinating point about Jews being the economic middlemen so often, and that if you look at economic middlemen in other cultures, in other time periods, they are universally hated. If they are of the same race as the surrounding culture, they're hated and barely tolerated. If they're a minority race, holy crap! I don't think that his essay is the answer to the question of what happens to the Jews over and over. However, it presents to me in my mind a puzzle piece that I wasn't ever aware of. I didn't realize how much of an impact that had on the situation. So I found that really interesting to read, as well as the Germans in history. He contests the idea that that Germans, the entire history of the German nation was leading up to Nazism, and it's a compelling argument. I won't say it's a perfect argument, but it's a compelling argument. And he makes a point that for a while Germany was the safest place for Jews to go in Europe. Jews were going to Germany to be safe. They were intermarrying at like a 50% rate. Anyways, there's just so much in this book that is interesting. That will challenge a lot of things that, you know, maybe you've just heard offhand, or maybe you believe, or it's just interesting puzzle pieces in here. And it is so clearly written and articulate and backed up by a crazy amount of research. So yeah, I found this to be important enough to read here.